Oh, I was very, very young. In fact, I sang before oh God, it sounds like an ABBA song, doesn't it? Well, they said I was a dance before. Anyway, yes, I said downtown. That was my first thing I ever said because my mum and my gran ran a boarding house. So they used to put the radio on and just sort of leave me, in the lounge while they were getting all the dinners ready and everything. And downtown was in the hit parade at the time. So that was the first thing I ever said. How sad is that?
And who actually recognised that you had a talent, first of all? Was that sort of spotted early on?
Yes, my grandmother knew because I was playing a piano. I just seemed to go to a piano in this old house once, and I was actually getting a tune off the piano. And my grandmother said, just listen to this. And they were all outside, and I was humming away and playing on a piano that I'd never even played before. So my grandmother then set me up with piano lessons, and the rest is history.
And what about the first time you actually stepped out onto a stage? Was that as a child as well?
Yes, I think I was out. It was in a school play. I played Dorothy, and I was having singing lessons, and the teacher didn't know. So I was sort of, my piano teacher at the time said, you have got a really good voice, why don't you have a bit of training on that? So I went to a singing teacher when I was about 12 or 13, and brought out this big soprano voice, and I went for an audition at school for the part as Dorothy, and the teacher says, oh my God, where did you get that voice from? Because he just knew me as like the scruffy little girl in the corner, really. That was me.
Now,
so that was my first big break.
From there, the singing lessons, the piano lessons, and the talent, it's quite a leap to becoming a professional singer, isn't it? What happened in between? Did you have more training? Did you take up lots of day jobs?
Yes, I did everything. Of course, I found out what boys were as well, so I knocked all that on the head. I thought, no, I'm going out, like you do. And so I had a break from it for a while. And then I went to college to learn how to be a secretary. And worked in a pub and worked as a shop assistant. So I did everything normal, thank goodness. I'm glad I've had that real normality and having to work to earn my money, that type of thing. And then, I just decided one day that I could really do with being a singer. I was a manager of a nightclub, that's what did it. And I was booking all these other acts to perform in the nightclub. And I thought, hang on a minute, I could do that. And that's when I went into show business.
The working men's clubs and so on followed. And that's what many people say is the best training ground you could possibly have.
Absolutely, Martin. I never regret one of those clubs. They were the greatest, honing your career. You've got to do the clubs, really, to do that, because you have to learn how to react to somebody shouting out. You have to learn to be second to the bingo. But the bingo pays your wages, so never knock the bingo. And it's just good. All the experience you can get is everything. Plenty of experience, that's what you've got to have.
And did you meet anybody or work with anybody along the way that went on to stardom as well?
Oh, Billy Pearce. I used to work with Billy Pearce.
Yeah, very funny.
I used to support him. And we used to have a good laugh because we did this club in Leeds, and it was, oh dear, it was a bit rough, And there was a fight broke out that night, and my lights went flying and everything, and we were laughing, saying, well, it's been a good night then if there's a fight, because usually when there's been a fight, you've had a really good night.
Yeah.
But we laughed at that, and thought, my goodness.
He's a Yorkshireman as well, of course, isn't he?
He is, yeah. So Billy and I are good friends, and he was on with me last summer season in Blackpool, so it was great reminiscing there.
When did the cruises start then, Jane?
When you do the clubs constantly, you do tend to get a bit stale. Well, I did. I don't know about anybody else. And I was single, and I thought, there's got to be more to this, So my mother threw the stage at me and said, just have a look in there. And I did, and I could see cruise ship singers being advertised for all the time. And then a friend of mine came to see me at a club one night, and she said she was on a cruise ship, and why don't I ever go? And I was like, yes, thank you so much. So she took me down to London, and I got a job straight away. So I was very, very lucky.
And how many cruises had you done before the television series then?
I'd done 8 years.
8 years.
8 years of cruise ships. So when I wasn't on the cruise ships, I was back doing the clubs, which was a great leveller, because you're on this like dream, holiday ship, and it's all glitz and glamour. And then you come back to the clubs, and I found that was a real leveller. So I enjoyed both then.
Hey, thanks again for listening to this interview. If you enjoyed it, please click on the like button. Make sure you ring that notification bell. Check out all of the other interviews here. And if you can, please help the channel by subscribing. Thank you.